Good morning, families. Ms. Copen here to discuss Unit Three's writing objective, which is to organize a story using a plot diagram. So basically what's going to happen is our students are going to write their own personal narratives again, but this time they're going to use a plot diagram and they might turn it into a fantasy element. So the writing goal is I can organize my story using a plot diagram this week. So we will discuss all that a plot diagram entails. A plot diagram is a diagram that looks like this. It has a low point, it has a rising point, it has a climax, the highest point, and then it falls a little bit back down to a leveled balanced field. So in that area, we have different elements, an exposition, a rising action, a climax, a falling action, and a resolution. So all of these elements make up what a story, a personal narrative should have in each story. So first we talk about the plot, which is an organized sequence of events that make up a story. It is the main storyline of a literary work. So each student is going to pick a topic that they want to write about, like maybe going to the dentist, going to the zoo, or going to Great Adventures. Whatever it is they decide to write about, we're going to use a plot diagram to help them jot down their ideas. So the plot diagram is a graphic organizer. And like I said, it has five main elements: the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. The first thing we will discuss is the exposition. The exposition usually occurs at the start of a story. In the exposition, the readers learn about the characters, the setting, and are introduced to the main conflict. So that is the lowest point, the beginning, the jump off point. Then we move on to the rising action, which is the part of the story where majority of the action takes place. Here, the events are rising to a boiling point. This is leading you to the climax. The reader begins to see the conflict develop and interest and suspense are built. Then we arrive at the climax, the highest point where everything comes together. The climax is considered the turning point of the story. It is usually the moment that the rising action has built up to and is the most intense emotional point. The main character will often change in some way at this point in the plot, and the focus is switched from the problem to the solution. After the climax, it's the falling action where things are starting to come down a little bit and lead to a resolution. During the falling action, loose ends of the plot are tied up. Usually, the conflict and the climax are going through the process of being resolved. And finally, we come to the resolution. At the resolution, the story comes to a conclusion. This usually means that the conflict is completely resolved or is determined unsolvable. The resolution is sometimes called the denouement, but we'll just call it the resolution for right now. This is the part of the story where everything comes together and everything is solved. Everything makes sense. So we have the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. And those are the parts of a plot diagram. So what the students are going to do is use this plot diagram, which they've been asked to actually create their own plot diagram using something similar to this format here. And they will jot a couple of sentences under the exposition that talks about the characters and the setting and maybe the problem that's arising. Then the rising actions will be right here where they'll list 3 to 5 sentences about the events that take place in the series of conflicts. Then finally, they'll talk about the climax, the most important part of the turning point, which leads to the falling action, which leads to the final resolution. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Class Dojo. If the students have any questions, they can contact me there too. And remember, the optional ELA block at 1 o'clock with Miss Roddy is the excellent chance for students to do their best work and learn all about plot diagrams for this week. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.